Work and Faith About Reason. We are continuing to read selected excerpts. You can find the study material in the icon book icon on Galaxy or on the site. We are in item 24 of Laitman, please. We continue every time with the same work, even though every time there are new conditions. There is a new internal state both in the general group and of the group. That's why it's written that they should be new in your eyes every time, because each and every moment a person is a new world. The world seems new to him, even though it's the upper light where there is no change. All changes are only in us, in the Rashomot that awaken in us, and the these that awaken, because we come from one general system, so that awaken in each and everyone all depend on each other. Whatever is awakened in me is determined by others. This general clue of how we establish each other, want it or not, in bestowing upon each other. There are indeed levels. Some are in the higher levels, some are less, just as in our corporeal life. For some people influence more, some less. Babies only get influence from others, are bestowed upon by others. That's how it is in spirituality. So, let's not forget that whether I wake up or not wake up with a good feeling, a bad feeling, etc. First of all, the feeling itself means nothing. Maybe it only gives me an opportunity in manners. That maybe it doesn't seem to me, but it's for me to advance and to show my part. But the mutual connection, the mutual bestowal, and the mutual dependency in the awakening in the result in each and everything. We have to understand that it all depends only on many factors, that the 10 is for each and everyone, and whatever happens to us is always because of the 10, want it or not. And even if a person forgets about the right connection in the 10, the calculation out of the general cleats only to that. This is why we shouldn't forget that if we want to be in the right kind of bestowal, determining the right state, so we look at the state of the 10, its state with respect to humanity. Well, first of all to general humanity and the Creator, and out of that, if we can somehow decipher that, we may say what our situation is, why it is the way it is, why it's been established this way, what is it aiming us for. This is something we should still scrutinize, just like a baby that gradually scrutinizes what his state in the world depends on. His parents, his apartment, maybe later, his friends in the yard, etc. So we'll try to somehow understand that our individual state is completely determined by the environment. The upper light is in complete rest, but the environment, because it each has many parts, with which are all inclined towards connection, correction. So this is what happens. The environment determines where I'll turn to, in what way, in what pace. This is why we should start correcting the environment more than ourselves, because we're all a fruit of the influence of the environment. About this, there are many things that are written about the influence of the environment on a person, and the work with faith above reason is highly important. All right, let's start. Where are we? We are in excerpt 22. From what is a flood of water in the work. We must note that it is a lot of work before we attain the quality of beginner. That is to be content with little, with his feeling and his mind, and be happy with his share, with what he has. That person can always be in wholeness, because he is happy with his share. This means that success is not according to the amount I attain. Million, let's say $1 million, 10 million, billion, etc. Rather, success is how much I settle for, and my as little share as possible I settle with and am content with, because then in each and every moment whatever I have, I get it from the Creator, and when I agree and accept with my whole heart and soul wholly with what I got from the Creator, then I'm in adhesion with Him, and on the spot I attain the goal. Meaning the goal is not somewhere we run to far away at the end of the path. The end of the path may be here, by me coming down to a state that I'm receiving from the Creator, and I agree with Him, and the amount I get does it's not important to me, more or less doesn't matter. Then I reach wholeness, perfection. Yes, but what can one do? But what can one do if he has not yet obtained this quality, and he sees that he cannot overcome his will to receive? At that time he must pray to the Creator to help him, so he can go in the work with his eyes chat, and will not need anything, and will be able to do everything for the sake of the Creator despite the resistance of the body to this. That is, he does not tell the Creator how he should help him. Rather, he must subjugate himself, and are null before the Creator unconditionally. But since he cannot overcome his body, he asks the Creator to help him win the war against the inclination. Again, we must know that it is a lot of work before we attain the quality of beginner. That is to be content with little with his feeling and his mind, and be happy with his share with what he has. That person can always be in wholeness, because he is happy with his share. But what can one do if he has not yet obtained this quality, and he sees that he cannot overcome his will to receive? At that time he must pray to the Creator to help him so he can go in the work with his eyes shut, and will not need anything, and will be able to do everything for the sake of the Creator despite the resistance of the body to this. That is, he does not tell the Creator how he should help him. Rather, he must subjugate himself, and annul before the Creator unconditionally. But since he cannot overcome his body, he asks the Creator to help him win the war against the inclination. I see that. I guess it's clear to everyone. Well, if it's clear, let's move on. But what I recommend is, even though it is completely clear, read it 2 or 3 more times during the day when you're in different situations, different states, and then you also need to see new things in this excerpt. This was said that a person is happy with everything he's given in the corporate and spiritual state. A person is content with whatever he receives because he receives it from the Creator. Yes, to such an extent that his life is over. We're not talking about such space. It's not for our small souls, but in general, yes. PT 22. Hello Saber. I wanted you to help us connect the name of the article, a flood of water. Now, can we imagine this flood of water in our work sense from the text is hard to get it? No, you can't do that because we just took one excerpt of a long article. I don't recommend that for you to start engaging in such things, because here you have to add your intellect and your experience and your mind. You can't count on it. So, take the whole article, read it a few times, and then maybe you'll attain it. It's what Rashi is trying to tell you. But if you take only this part and you use the name of the article, you can't do anything about it. And you shouldn't wherever you have to add something of yourself. Don't go there, because then you remain confused with your views and your previous misconceptions. I want to maybe try. I'm telling you, don't try it, old man. I'm telling you what's wrong with you. How come you don't understand that you, with your old mind and the intellect, you're trying to solve something new? Okay, I'll listen to you. Thank you very much. Hebrew 10. On one hand, we have to agree with what the Creator gives him. On the other hand, there's my sons defeated me that we're supposed to fight with our thoughts. How do you reconcile the two correctly? My sons have defeated me is the same. It's the same that whatever we get from the Creator, and he's as if he's trying to bring us out of the path in all kinds of ways. But still we keep on going to him. It comes from him, so he can't hide from us for sure. We want to discover that he's in charge, that he's the one who created things, and there's no one else besides him in this. This is the meaning of my sons have defeated me, that even though he's hiding and he's doing everything in life, so we're still aiming at him. But if he deflects me from the path, am I supposed to agree with it? No. You're supposed to aim it all at him, that he's the one doing it, but you don't agree with him deflecting you from the path. The fact that he deflects, that's him. What do you do? Agree or don't agree? That's something you have to decide. And maybe you should demand from him to show you the right thing to do, because when you see a contradiction, that's also something he did. He's splitting your mind, that emotion. So he should show you what you should do. New York 3. Up dear RV, why is gratitude given such weight in our work to a point where a person is considered to be in a perfect state while in gratitude? Because this comes to show your attitude to the good that does good, how you accept it above your emotions and above your thoughts. That there's such a weight, otherwise how can you rise above your ego? The Creator created the ego for you intentionally so that you can rise above it. And to the extent, to the way that you rise above the ego, you can perceive the Creator. You're acquiring opposite vessels of what He is giving you. And then you feel Him the right way. Morning off doesn't mean that a person isn't asking anything from the Creator, but only complete annulment. Each and every moment I receive from the Creator infinite. Not evil, only good. And the way I accept it, the way I understand it, depends on my relation to this insuf, to the infinite. If it's not so much, it's a sign that I cannot yet identify myself with the Creator. If I feel that I'm really within the light of the Creator, that's a sign that I've reached wholeness. Relative adhesion for the time being. Everything depends on the extent that I feel my contact with insuf, with the Creator, and in each and every moment we are in it. But we have to discover that this is so. Too. When do I turn to the friend, and when do I turn to the Creator? Sometimes you say friend, sometimes you say Creator, and I can't understand when. When should I turn to whom? I address the friends in order to correct the clay, and when the clay is more or less corrected, then I turn to the Creator in order to reach in adhesion to Him. But adhesion in the friends is part of the adhesion in the Creator. When the adhesion in the France is the adhesion of the vessels, and the adhesion with the Creator is with the essence of adhesion, meaning with the light that dwells in the adhesion, in the difficult. So the first thing we should do is establish ourselves with respect to the friends. We talked about it yesterday. Carbu. Good morning, Rob. We have a question from the 10. How can I subjugate myself to the Creator? I don't even know what the Creator is. So who am I asking for help from? From your friends. Learn and do some drills, some exercises. With your friends, the Creator is concealed in them. If you subjugate yourself to them, it's just as if you're subjugating yourself to the Creator. PT 29. It's a request for me to get help, to fight against inclination. Is it? So, I'm asking about myself, right? I don't hear the question. Is the request to win the war against inclination? Is it a request that works? I don't know how to put it. First thing, write down the question, and then you can ask the question. First, write down the question. Is settling for little the desirable form of the Stoic, as it sounds like he just wants to receive less? No, it's not that he wants to receive less. More. Wanting more or less doesn't depend on a person, but to be willing for that to use your desire properly, that depends on the person. Latin for question from a student. How do the reshimo in the general society impact the 10? It impacts, I can't say you can be sure. It impacts directly. How does it impact? We live according to the reshimot. We're governed by the reshimot. Focus group. Focus group. On one hand, I have a burning desire. On the other hand, I have to settle for little. How do I reconcile between the two? You have a burning desire to settle for little. That's very good. United VG3. You said I get from the Creator in self. Infinity, the quality of the Creator. Yes, well, let's continue. Excerpt number 23. What is the meaning of the purification of a cow's ashes in the work? In faith, we should make 3 discernments. 1. For example, if a person gives to his friend $1,000 and the person accepts it, and he is completely sure and believes, since this man is my friend and a meticulous person, so if he gives me the money, there must be $1,000 there, and there's no need to count. This is called faith below reason. In other words, he believes him because his reason does not object to what he believes, meaning there is no contradiction between believing him and the reason. It follows that to him faith is below reason, and the reason is more important. That is, he believes. He believes him because reason does not object. However, if this is in contrast with the reason, he will probably not believe. This is still not regarded as faith above reason. 2. He tells him, here is $1,000. The receiver counts it 3 times and sees that there is the stated amount. Therein says to the giver, I believe you that there is the amount, that there is the amount here as you say. Certainly, this does not count his faith. 3. He counts the $1,000 3 times and sees that $1 is missing. But he says to the giver, I believe you, that there's $1,000 here. Even though the reason and the intellect say that there is less here, he says that he believes. This is called true above reason. I think we should read it again. Again, in faith, we should make 3 discernments. 1. For example, if a person gives to his friend $1,000, and the person accepts it, and he's completely sure and believes, since this man is my friend and a meticulous person, so if he gives me the money, there must be $1,000 there, and there is no need to count. This is called faith below reason. In other words, he believes him because his reason does not object to what he believes, meaning there is no contradiction between believing him and the reason. It follows that to him faith is below reason, and the reason is more important. That is, he believes in because reason does not object. However, this is in contrast to reason. However, if this is in contrast to reason, he will probably not believe. This is not regarded as faith above reason, meaning without examination, without criticism. You can't even talk about faith below reason, in reason, above reason. It's just simple faith, without any additions. 2. He tells him, here's $1,000. What is that? Like what we're talking about now, not counting, not checking. It's like religions. No one examines, no one. You just accept the words as you're told, and that's it. Think about it. Let's move on to 2. He tells him, here's $1,000. The receiver counts it 3 times and sees that there is the stated amount there, and says to the giver, I believe you, that there is that amount here as you say. Certainly, this does not count as faith, meaning it's knowledge. He's certain. He's counting on the fact that he counted. This is what we call science. 3. Yes, he counts the $1,000 3 times and sees that $1 is missing. But he says to the giver, I believe you, that there is $1,000 here. Even though the reason and the intellect say that there is less here, he says that he believes. This is called true above reason. All right. What's the difference between religion and faith in the sages? The difference between reason and faith above reason. He has about faith in the sages and religion. Okay, religion and faith in the sages. So, faith is something one checks, no, one examines, because you don't have any tools, instruments by which to examine. So everyone accepts it. The problem is, because you don't have vessels, it changes all the time. And every generation you add stories and add all kinds of different forms and compositions, etc. And each and everyone, no one can examine it, and they mustn't examine it what each one has. It becomes like a club where everyone seemingly knows what it's about, but no one really knows. That's religion. This is why there are many different manners to this, and accordingly was, etc. That's religion, and that's faith below reason, and the faith within reason is science, and the faith, the reason are the same. That whatever I count I have, like the verse, the judge has only what his eyes can see. There are presumptions and you can talk about it, but everyone only relies on their experience, their experiment, and there's faith above reason, which is a different kind of force. That's a force of bestow you have to acquire, and it depends on the connection between us, and above it love the friend as yourself, all kinds of things that the wisdom of Kabbalah explains to us how to reach that. These are 3 methods with relation to reality. Is this clear? PT10, can you hear me? Well, yes, it is written that in above reason, neither the mind nor reason don't justify that there is the money there, but a person says that he believes what part in a person says that he believes. Out of the fact that he receives these things, he accepts them because he doesn't want to belong to his own mind and emotion, but rather to reality as it is above his own mind and emotion. It's not clear. So what is a person made? Oh, he's got the intellect, he's got the heart, he's got feelings, he's got 5 senses. What part is that begins to work above reason? That what he receives above his emotion and intellect, and that's called the truth. So where does he receive it? In what sense? He receives it in the sense of faith, And so what is a sense of faith? I can't tell you what that is. It's by saying that. You want an explanation about above reason, within reason. I won't find better words than what you have here. Try to carry it out. The same exercises where bash and tell you and then you'll feel it. It's something that doesn't pass from one person to another. It's impossible to do it. So when you say I should try, when I try, what does it mean that I try? What am I trying to do? Try to start some practice of your own. Some exercise by saying that whatever is happening, it's done by the Creator. I accept it, and anything else that happens and it seems to me that it happens, I only ascribe it to the Creator. But I do this in my intellect, my feeling too. No, because in your emotion, in your intellect, you see different things. So what is this clique if not in my intellect or in my feeling? What is the clique of faith? Where is it? It's not, it's above your emotion and your intellect. If you'll try more and more to look around it, you'll find, especially with your persistence, it will come. Okay, where are we more? Let's go to Kazakhstan. Thank you. Tell us why. Does a friend say I gave you $1,000? Why? Not just I give it back to you. I have to count. I have to know how much I'm giving, how much he's giving back. Otherwise, there is no connection between us. But he understands. He counted. But why didn't he say, I don't understand? Why does that disturb you? He could have just said thank you for giving it back to me. No, it's the same thing. He counted. The main thing is that he counted. For why is faith above reason built? Specifically above the contradictions. Because we have to rise from reason to above reason. That's why there's a contradiction here. A contradiction is something different. It's not what I have in my mind or emotion. The difference, the delta between what you have and what you want. The difference between what I understand and I don't understand. What I feel and I don't feel. Okay, we can keep on answering, but I see that we still have to make many exercises here, many exercises. 1. To do this exercise among us in the 1,000. There's 0, and what is it? And are working in the 10, it doesn't matter. It's like something. Like a pond, like something equal to what you have in corporate reality in the vessels of reception on the part of the friends. Is it importance exertion in the work? Yes, something that's important for everyone, and I have to see every moment that the amount is full, of course, and yet we have to check, we have to count each time among us the completeness of importance or efforts, and still say that each one is given 100%. Not just say we have to count, but we have to bring ourselves to a degree of faith, and then we have the degree of that of reason. I counted, and instead of $1,000 there's 900, but I accept them as a TH00. And the gap between the 900 and the 1,000 is considered my spiritual degree, the degree of faith. That I don't go according to my desire, according to what I have and my corporeal beastly intellect and emotion, but rather I go according to what my friends told me, according to their intellect and emotion, meaning I raise myself to their degree, as opposed to mine. And in this gap between the 1,000 and the 900, I willing already to feel the spiritual phenomena. It's the gap between and there. Spiritual phenomena can occur already. Is it possible that this disconnection is too big, too broad between the $1,000 and the dollar? It depends. That's the Creator never gives you such a burdening, such an exercise that a person cannot carry it out. But the bigger the gap, the more, yes, of course, and higher degrees. Instead of $1,000, you find $1, and then instead of a dollar, you see a piece of paper, newspaper or something having no value at all. Yes. French. Hello. How can the deficiency seem like work above reason as is explained in the third item? Again, Yakov translated. How can we understand the deficiency like work above reason as is explained on the third item? When he sees the $1 instead of $1,000, then he says my eyes see wrongly. So, I'll go according to the emotion of the society or the friend, or the Creator. It doesn't matter how you say it, and that's my yardstick. And it's not what I feel, When I feel the $1 and I should receive 1,000, as if it's 1,000, that's the degree of faith that I may rise to right now, and then to the extent that I accept it. This way, we'll talk about it, what it means to receive it. It's not just saying, it's not just. So in this tendency to accept this $1 as $1,000, when I add the force of bestow instead of the force of reception there, equal to $999, then in this, the reflected light I can feel the strong intensity of spirituality. Okay, okay, so what are we going to do next? United VG4. Hello. I tried. What's the question? I keep trying this exercise, and the stages of 1, 2, 3, one situation or another situation. Let's say I succeed in going with above reason, but on the next step there's suddenly a situation where it's just impossible. I mean petrified by fear. Okay, fine, keep on trying every time. More and more. That's it, keep on trying. I have nothing else to say. And at the second it happens this. Calculation. What do you take this? Strength to keep it? Go to your group. Go to your 10. Hi, 3. Why doesn't he give the full amount? Why doesn't he give the missing $100? What do you mean? Why doesn't he? He took $1,000. Why did he give back only 900? What? But he wants to lie to me. He wants to advance you in faith above reason. That's why he's giving you less reason, so you can go with faith above it. So instead of $1,000, he returns $900, and he wants you. In this $100 he doesn't give you to add your force of faith that you believe him. Guys, you have to think about it more and more during the day, for 2, 3 days, maybe 6 months. But it has to be accepted in us in the many different ways and manners, and so that we'll understand what's the benefit. Here for us, for the Creator, for the group, for everyone. This is the degree of faith when we don't live out of what we have in our vessels of reception in our egoistic vessels, but rather what belongs to our vessels of bestowal, our altruistic vessels, the vessels of it. That's how it should go. Well, if a person walks along the way, acquires faith, a reason of faith, and then why should he cancel it before the new one? What's wrong with the previous one? Because by that he acquires the force of faith instead of the force of reception. Vulgar. We in this story of the envelope we're discussing someone owing me money. But if suppose in this envelope there is a piece of paper with no value, and I discover that I'm the one who owes, it's not him owing me. I don't know about this yet, and don't ask about what we are not asking. I'll question by a friend. What's the difference between when I perceive that the Creator is or the friend is bringing me the debt back, when the friend gives me back the money and says with confidence that it's $1,000 and I see that there is less there? It is much more serious or harder than if the Creator did it to me. I have to accept it at least as I receive from the friends as if I received it from the Creator, say Midwest, USA Midwest, since it's impossible to do this without obtaining the clear faith. Isn't that the real work? Isn't it all about obtaining that vessel, the vessels of the soul? Precisely through such exercises we acquire the vessels of bestow, and it's not like I have to first acquire the vessels of bestow and then I'll go for this exercise. You said that the example is the example of science. Doesn't mean that science and spirituality will never meet. Science and spirituality will certainly never meet, because spirituality itself is a science. Spirituality itself is a science, but it's a science that operates and is built on the level of bestow, on the level of Biner, not on the level of. For this reason Biner and Malhad can never meet, except one at top the other. Now where else do we have Mac VG3? Hello, Raf. What should I do if I should return this money to a friend? Should I complete it, or should I say that you should count on me? In our world towards the friends, what? You have to give back. You have to give back exactly according to the conditions you agreed upon with your friend. But in addition, you have to see that you're dealing not only with a friend, but only with the Creator next to him. Am I not stealing from the friend's efforts when I take less amount than I accepted? We said that with regard to the friends, with regard to money, with regard to worldly objects, we always have to make the ordinary usual worldly calculations. We're dealing with objects in this world. But if we're talking about the relationships between us and the relationships between us, we always go with the power of faith. Writes about the relations in the group. Shalom. I hope my friend is in the right direction when working in the friends. How can we both demand their commitment to the path and at the same time see this the full amount of money? It's not simple. We attain this only to the extent that there is love. Love doesn't let us. The right love doesn't hide the flaws in the behaviors and relationships, but rather love covers all the crimes. So that despite all of these flaws, we love. New York 2. Why must one first determine the correct amount before approaching it with faith? Above reason, he has to know what he's waiting for, what he's giving, what he's receiving. He has to know these things, and then accordingly, he checks how he relates to the new state. That's the way it is. According to this, he determines his new spiritual degree more or less. PT 25. We have an example in our tent. One of our friends is translating right now, but his friend didn't come to translate. Now, he can examine if the reason that the translator didn't come to just do his duty is, or should he accept reason, or I can't answer that question. We have to get his question, so he should write it first on a piece of paper, and then he should read what he wrote before. Must I examine why translator didn't come and to check his excuse? Is it true or not? Again, should I examine the reason that another translator didn't come to do his job, and to examine to scrutinize it, to see if it's true? You could, but you should also see to what extent here it's a problem already. How much you lose, the group loses. The whole world group loses because it didn't come to the translation. These are different problems. It's not just a few dollars that you have that you got them or didn't get them. A person who was supposed to translate now say during the lesson but didn't show up does a lot more harm by that. But you have to check before the lesson what is going on. He should come half an hour before the lesson. You should see if he's there, if he's ready, if he's not sick or anything. And likewise with every translator. Them. So the problem is also in you. KF2. Thank you. KF2. Knowledge above my emotions. But the emotions are the center of the 10. It's the collective intellect. That's faith. Above reason speaker. No. This is still not enough. This is still not enough. You're right. That if I'm included at the center of the group, by that I already advanced toward faith above reason. But we should still check what is what. Is it my desires instead of their desires? To what extent? But to some extent you're right. And there's some truth to what you're saying. To a question, in faith above reason, do I see the friend's intention, these $100 that are missing? No, he had no intention to give back $100. No, he says he's given me $1,000. Now, he doesn't have an intention to give me back $100. He says, I'm giving you everything that you wanted. That's it. But with faith above reason, he has no intentions to give me another $100 later. He's certain that he's given me 1,000 now because to him, the force of reception or the force of bestow are the same. And he thinks he's doing me a great favor by giving me, instead of $100 in the will to receive, $100 in the will to bestow. It's worth more. Okay, Belarus, tell us please, is it possible that a friend consciously gives me back not enough money? Yeah, he could be doing this exercise to you, of course. And what is the envelope? Nothing. He's just giving you something close. You open it, and that's it. Don't start creating stories around it. Look at the point itself, and not around. Okay. Well, I don't know who else to ask anymore. PT9. Raf, can you explain this example with the creator as an exercise? What am I counting exactly, and how often? With the creator, everything that you feel in life, you should accept it as a perfect state. This is what the Creator has given you. He has given you back the envelope. But in life, I count things in the corporeal world. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's what you think. And then you open the envelope, meaning you start checking the situation, corporeal situation, and you see that it's incomplete. It's not the end of correction. How come I'm not in the end of correction? I received what I received from the Creator. There's none else besides Him. He is being revealed to us. Where is that state of the end of correction? And what is it different from the end of correction? Where it's different from the end of correction. That's what shows me the state of my clay. I like to still understand, because you said that in the reason there are no vessels, even a religious person has this feeling of things that is not good for him. I'm not even talking about the religious person. I don't know what you're. No, but previously you explained when you said that the first is reason, the second example is science. The first example is religion. And you said that the difference is that in religion a person doesn't inspect it. So I'm asking what's the difference? Because even a religious, the difference is that a religious person does not check what he feels, and therefore for him it is faith below reason. When he say he's not measuring is, I don't want to talk about a child can't. You understand that I don't want to talk about it. We consider you a smart person, eh? Professor, I don't say that about you. Do you understand that about some of the things I don't want to talk about if they don't pertain to us? That's it. I'll ask it differently. I thought that the gap is something we have to cover in spirituality, not in corporality. Meaning I feel that the spiritual gap, not the corporeal one. What? Corporeal gap, as you said, between my life and the perfect state. Between $900 and $1,000, right? And I thought we're talking about the spiritual gap. That's my question. Well, you can add the spiritual gap we're on. These $100 over them. I believe that they are not 900 but 1,000. So here I add the spiritual gap. Thank you. And don't bring me examples from the world, from religious, from secular, from something we never talk about. Them. Yesterday. Suppose you're working, and instead of 1,000 you're being given 200 or 300, and they're telling you that's what you earn. I see that someone's stealing money from me. He's a thief, so I don't know what to do. I should break all the work I did. What am I supposed to do? I understand it has nothing to do with our spiritual actions, but practically speaking, how can I answer my own mind here? You take what you were given. Go and don't get closer to him again. Don't come close to him again and relax. The Creator will complement it. That's it. I don't know how to come out from this whole thing. Look what's happening. The question different, friend. Faith of the sages is something I accept without criticism. Isn't that faith below reason? If you check what they say and you see a gap between the two, in the gap between what they declare and the gap between what you think, there you can go above or below or along with it. Here's where you need to see what sustains you, what, how should I put it, leads you, maybe leads you to one of the three states. We are reading from the writings of the Introduction to the Study of the Field, item 10 Arved. Commentary writes about the verse, and God said, let there be light, and there was light. Let there be light for this world, and let there be light for the next world. This means that the works of creation were created in their full stature and form, as our sages said, meaning in their fullest glory and perfection. Accordingly, the light that was created on the first day emerged in all its perfection, which contains the life of this world, to an utter pleasantness and gentleness, as expressed in the words, let there be light. However, to prepare a place of choice and labour, he stood and concealed it for the righteous at the end of correction, as our sages said. Hence, they said in their pure words, let there be light for this world. However, it did not remain so, but rather, let there be light for the next world. In other words, they who practiced Jua for our sake are rewarded with it only at the end of correction, the end of days after the end of the refinement of their body, and in the path of Torah. Then they are rewarded with that great light in this world too. As our sages said, you will see your world in your life. Yes. Well, I don't see any questions from the groups, so we can continue. Let's continue. However, we find and see, in the words of the sages of the Talmud, that they have made the path of Torah easier for us than the sages of the Mishnah. This is because they said one should always practice the Torah, and even Lishma not for her sake, and from Lishma he will come to for our sake. since the light in it reforms him. Thus they have provided us with a new means instead of the penance presented in the above-mentioned misnar, which is the light in the Torah, since it bears sufficient power to reform one and bring him to practice Torah. And they did not mention penance here, but only that engagement in it alone provides one with that light that reforms, so one may engage in Torah in order to bring contentment to his Maker and not at all for his own pleasure. And this is called. Do we have any questions? Free. Can I ask about the previous excerpt? Until I got to it, I absorbed it what we just read. It says, "Let there be light," meaning that he created all the worlds in a complete and a perfect way. Fill them with light. Afterwards, the restriction, the departure of the light. And then he speaks of the righteous. Those righteous to follow the path of the Torah, and they are rewarded with the complete light in the next world, in this world, and all that by expanding the vessel, growing the vessel. The question is in the past I used to be confused whenever they would speak about the vessel, and I asked myself, where is the vessel inside of me and here? When I ask, can we see in all these images and metaphors a psychological change that takes place with the help of the forming light? We call this concept of a psychological leap takes place in our brain, in our mind, and helps us approach the Creator and helps us reach a coolness of form with Him. Okay, well, you spoke enough. We will continue, and we will see. There's some foundation for that. We need to study more. A woman Turkey, in item 10, speaks of you shall see your world in your life, in your lifetime, or while alive. What is you will see your world in your life, and what stage is it in the spiritual path? You will see your world in your life speaks about the fact that as a result of our study, we will discover the relationship between us and the Creator, where He appears, and He fills all the space between us and Him. And this is a wee advance. Key 1 writes here about the influence of the reforming light, how to feel the influence of the light. Each and everything that comes to us, our senses, is revealed to us according to the equivalence of form. This means that the will to receive, which is a general force, this is the thing that truly discovers whatever I feel. So this will to receive needs to undergo all kinds of changes until I will feel the will to receive itself and the Creator opposite it. And in this way, bit by bit, we get closer to Him. And that's it. I want to ask, what is the difference between the method of the sages of the Talmud penance and the sages of the Misnar with the reforming light? How both of those approaches work on the correction of the will to receive. What's the difference between them? We need to feel both this and that, and then we can see the difference. Why one is better and the other one is not, then we can talk about it. The most important thing is to advance and feel it. Can you say that both need to bring a person to feel the taste of dust in the world to receive its same course, except different forms of advancing? No. Look, now we're not going to some sort of a game with these things. Turkey 1. In item 10, it speaks of the reforming light. The friend asks, 11. So how does the light come to the 10? The light that can be revealed is revealed in the 10. Those who are in the 10, what? Think about a special connection that they wish to achieve with the Creator. And then as a result of one's efforts he reaches the feeling of the Creator inside the group. Morning. Owen asked it in this way, but what happened that suddenly they stopped working with the penance, and moved to work with the reforming light? What happened in our process? They felt that this is the most important thing for them to attain their reforming light. No, so it will always be before our eyes, and by that, we can very quickly reach what it says there, can relate to it, in the way that the path of the reforming light accelerates time, compared to penance. Yes, must go. Morning. Tell us please, how should we check that we are giving pleasure to the Creator? What should we feel in that? This is what we need to feel. This is exactly what we need to feel. What's the indication for that? That we have an inner connection with the Creator. That is, we feel the presence of the Creator in our heart, His relation towards me and my relation towards Him. This in fact is the basis for the connection between us. but on the outside, there's some indication, but seemingly. Inside I feel it in the heart, but externally from the environment what can. I see that I'm truly aimed at the Creator correctly. This is what we read about all the time. It depends on the love towards the friends, on the connection with them, on the mutual help. All of this is related to the relations, connection in the group. Without that we will not advance. It's not clear again. What are the penance that you can give up right now? What are those penance? Penance, mortifications. It's that it used to be that those who entered the wisdom of Kabbalah and they want to reach the revelation of the Creator through it. So they want to get closer to the Creator, to have a grip on Him, to feel Him, and they don't know how to do it. And so they were thinking that all kinds of limitations that they performed on themselves will help them. In our work, we see that we have no choice but to also apply restrictions to our will to receive limitations. Yes, I'm trying to understand what the advanced sages permitted us to do, those who gave us the reforming light, because if we are engaged in the Torah, we are nevertheless obligated to fight against the will to receive and not to listen to and be above reason. For that, you need to restrict what the will to receive demands of us in order to be able to acquire certain level of advancement and feeling above it. Yes, I'm obligated to labor above it. So, what's the change here? The new change that the sages of the Talmud bring us from the Mishnah. When they said that only the letter of Torah is enough, what does that mean? That what I want to achieve eventually depends only on how much the light of Torah will fill my desires, and in this way through its operation on me, I will feel what this wisdom is talking about in relation to me. Nevertheless, without the effort to fight to strive against the will to receive, we won't be able to acquire this light. That's true. So, it remains as a question, what are those modifications that we used to have and that now we can skip? It's not clear. I see in the 10 that a person has no other choice but to make efforts and restrict himself in the work with the friends again forcefully. Yes, so it's not that I sit here and I study Torah and I read what Kabbalists are saying and I make efforts inside my heart against the book. I have to nevertheless make efforts. No, we need to realize that the most important thing for us is the form of the study, meaning what for, why, and so on. That's the most important. Thank you. What is it about the Torah that reforms us to the good, both the good and the evil? What is it about the Torah that reforms us, both the good and the bad in us? As in the Torah that reforms us, it's the light at His concealed in the correct study of the Torah. It pressures us, and through it, we shift from definitions that are far away from the concepts of the Torah to degrees that are closer. Hello Baraf says the following forming light is sufficient for us today to reach the degree of, instead of reaching it through mortifications and through torments. That's what he writes. Now the question is, before he obtains the reforming light, in Lishma reward and punishment, what do you call it? Before he obtains the reforming light, it is considered that he is not in. How can he tell that he reached Lishma? By based on what? When he will enter these kinds of connections and begin to ask, it will be more clear to him where he is. Another question, when he can already see the work and he knows that he's going above reason and many things. He's looking for the Creator, looking for His providence. Yeah, he's aware of it. He knows how he's climbing. Does he have any grasp in? I didn't understand. Does that mean that he has a certain grasp in on this path of work? How does he have a hold on it? When he feels providence, he feels what's above everything that's here behind. I'm not going to define it on purpose, but there's something there when it climbs friends and everything, but there's also an upper layer and there's a lower layer, and he detects it in himself. Person, yes. Does that mean that he attained something in Lishma? No, not yet. So what's missing? What he says, the light has to shine on a person, and through the work of the light on him, the person will advance to a state that is called Lishma. Thank you. Mark 11. Tell us please. Sometimes there are questions. There's states where we ask for the friends out of the work of our egoistic request, and there's no desire to ask for them. Why do we ask for them? Because it says so. It's written as it's written. A person has to always engage in dua, but also in. So tell us, is it correct to work this way, and can we add something to this work? We indeed need to be in such a state where we constantly yearn to turn to the Creator, to talk to Him, to be in a dialogue with Him in that state of lishma. Later on in the state of lishma, can we add something certain plus something? Whatever a person feels is necessary for him, he will add that. You just said that only when the reforming light fills our desires will understand what the wisdom is talking about, and we also learn that our path is to rise above our feelings, agree with the Creator even if it doesn't seem like it to us. So when should we demand that the light fill our desires? When is it right to ask for it? We feel in a certain state the Creator's influence on us, and we can check what is the direction of our development. Accordingly, we see, is it worthwhile for us, and demand an advance towards the feeling of the Creator, a relationship with the Creator, or maybe not, with each one according to how it comes to him. So when do we say that a person has to be satisfied with little, and when should he demand that? How to demand when he feels out of his work that this is how it needs to be. And the question, the reforming light, what does it mean that it reforms the person? That the person, to begin with, was created as an egoist, with intentions that are only to receive, and he needs to reach intentions of in order to bestow so, and he performs all kinds of actions, so that these actions will connect him as much as possible, more and more to the Creator. The feeling that they're asking for the reforming light should be a very clarified feeling in a person. Well, it's each time it's according to the degree of the connection. In the previous excerpt, says that the Creator decreed to work in lishma, meaning to make self-pleasure with pleasure to the Creator, and he also writes about the state where we lack faith. We receive darkness from the Torah. Is that the state of lishma or notif? Is there a difference between a person who the light reforms and a person who manages to draw the light? A person who succeeds in drawing the light, this means that this person exits his will to receive and performs all kinds of actions that bring him closer to the Creator. Allah and through the nearing to the Creator can already bring something special, something unique from the connection between them. Is there a difference between a person who feels and grasps how the light is working in him and reforming him toward the more advanced state? Yes. Can he grasp it? Of course. He needs to receive this from his connection with the Creator. Throughout the day, can a person follow the light that advances him? Yes, he can do it. Morning. I have two questions. Is drawing the reforming light during the study require a certain intention? And additionally, I understand that also during the prayer, the request you have to try and draw the light. I wanted to understand what is the difference between drawing the light during prayer and drawing the light during the study. That's it. During the study and also during the prayer, person should be close to the Creator as much as possible. This needs to be in his mind first and foremost in his intentions. It says you shall see your world in your life, which is probably a reward for effort for the connection between us. When we acquired the slider, it corrects us. The question is relative to a more advanced state. I look at it as a reward in the future, how not to take advantage of to exploit this knowledgistically. If I will think only about spiritual nearing to the Creator, meaning to the quality of bestow, certainly I will advance in the right way. This is what I need to think about all the time. Thank you. Yes, let's keep breathing. Yet it seems we must question their words. After all, we have found a few students whose practice in Torah did not help them to come to through the light in it. Indeed, practicing lesh means that one believes in the Creator, in the Torah, and in reward and punishment, and engages in the Torah because the Creator commanded the engagement. But he associates his own pleasure with bringing contentment to the Creator. If after all one's trouble in the practice of mitzvot, he will learn that no pleasure or personal benefit came to him through this great exertion and strain, he will regret having made all his efforts. This is because from the very beginning, he has misled himself, thinking that he too would enjoy his exertion. This is called lishma. Nonetheless, our sages committed the beginning of the practice. It also, since from one comes two. However, there's no doubt that if the student has not been rewarded yet with faith in the Creator and his law, but still has doubts, it is not about him that our sages said from lishma, he will come to lishma. It is not about him that they said that, by engaging in it the light in it reforms them. This is so because the light in the Torah shines only on those with faith. Moreover, the measure of that light is as the measure of the force of one's faith. To those without faith, it is the opposite. As it is written, to the left, in it a potion of death, for they receive darkness from the Torah, and their eyes darken. No, we might have to read it several times, but everything is written here. Everything depends on faith, on the measure of faith, to the extent a person yearns for it, and in return he acquires vessels, in which he feels the light that shines in him from the Creator, or he feels himself in darkness. The light does not appear. Then he enters the study more, and he wants to be successful, and he eventually makes it to faith. Woman unity. There is a feeling that mortifications give us the possibility to direct appeal to the Creator more correctly, and so a person who engages in it, he knows what he's doing. But when we enter the work in the Torah, it's not clear to us what exactly is the where my desires. So maybe it's easier to get into it, but to hold on to the precision and the power of the appeal. So from where will we get the confidence that you have to work on it. You have to work on it. Good morning. Nevertheless, by our nature, we are a desire to enjoy in an early stage of the work. What do we enjoy from in this work when we're still under concealment? But nevertheless, I'm advancing. I'm making progress in the study of the wisdom of Kabbalah. But in our work, there are states of darkness like he described it. Now in this item, how can we combine these things? Are also these states when a person sometimes is on the ground, he has no forces to lift himself. We know that there are states where friends can't hold on in that state, and sometimes it's a prolonged state. So how nevertheless can we combine these states also the darkness, the feeling of the darkness on one hand, on the other hand you have to lift yourself, to elevate yourself. So, you see, these states, they more and more they become more tough. There's nothing left for me to enjoy from. The only thing that holds you is the group. What holds you is indeed that you've invested so much time. But the measure of pleasure that's disappeared. There is no pleasure. And also what's happening on the outside, the world to receive, there's nothing to enjoy from. Everything is falling apart. I hear you. I hear what you're saying. What can you say to a person against that? To counter that, tell me. This is what I wanted to ask you. Okay, so in such a state we need to advance and scrutinize our connection with the Creator. In what direction is he pulling us? Is he developing us? Okay, thank you, Rob. Behind them, we can move on to the next group. David must be okay. He writes here that the light influences a person according to the measure of faith that he has. This is clear. If he has faith vessels of his soul, then he also receives. If he has vessels, he receives light. Yeah, faith should a person have a foundation, so that he can advance in a work. What kind of faith does he say that a person must have? Faith that comes to him from the Creator. That person accepts it, and it's possible that he connects to the Creator according to the degrees of faith that he has. In these items explains what are the basic conditions that we need in order to advance in the work, if I understand correctly. So here he says that one who doesn't have faith to begin with, it's not about him. Yes, but we don't have faith to begin with. So I'm asking what kind of faith we need to have so that a person will be able to advance in a work. What is that basic faith that he says a person needs to have? This has to be faith that a person understands that through the study he has connection with the Creator, and that's how he moves forward. Thank you. To believe in reward and punishment. What does it mean, and how do we work with these concepts? Believe in faith in reward and punishment. We need to have this faith constantly. Otherwise, why are we studying? How do we work with it correctly so that we don't I want to make up for myself all kinds of nonsense? No, that's not the question. The question here is how can we increase, how can we grow the reward and punishment, influence us, and we'll be able to advance together, all of us, to a meeting with the Creator. Woman Turkey. Can a person discover the complete emptiness within him by himself, or this emptiness is something that a person receives from above as a result of his efforts, of his labor? Again, a person discovered the complete emptiness within him by himself, where this emptiness is something that a person receives from above as a result of his labor. Oh, of course he receives the feeling of emptiness from above. Can I awaken this emptiness by myself? Earlier, if you're searching correctly, then you discover it. You find it. Woman, Shalom. Hello Raf. I wanted to ask about the state of Lishma. Is it a state where one undergoes refinement, as we call it? He started from suffering. He moves on to questions, to faith above reason. What is that state of Lishma? Does one go through a process? And what is a high state of Lishma that we should aspire to? He's undergoing a process, and as a result of that he comes to a state, to the state of, how does Lishma seem like in a high state that we should aspire to? Should we ask questions? Should we not ask questions? It's about reason. What does it look like? The state of Lishma is a state where I like it, or a person, how shall I put it, when he is in the connection between us in the group, and he yearns for the revelation of the Creator. And he doesn't want anything in return, only to receive what he's asking for, as a true vessel also is obligating. But we also want to add to this vessel by ourselves. Yes, okay. Item 13. Yes, item 13. Sages have already presented a nice allegory about this matter. Regarding the verse, woe unto you who desire the day of the Lord. Why do you need the day of the Lord? It is darkness, and not light. There is an allegory about a rooster and a bat that were awaiting the light. The rooster said to the bat, I wait the light, for the light is mine. But you, why do you need the light? Clearly those students who were not rewarded with coming from Lishma too, due to their lack of faith, and therefore did not receive any light from the Torah, will therefore walk in darkness, and shall die without wisdom. But those who were imparted complete faith and guaranteed in the words of our sages that because they engage in the Torah, even the light in it reforms them, they will be imparted the Torah which brings a happy and good life in this world and in the next world, even without the prior affliction and sorrowful life. It is about them that the verse says, Then shall you delight in the Lord, and I will make you ride upon the high places of the earth. Is it possible to extract new pleasure from the work with the 10? For example, during the study of tense. Again, is it possible to extract new pleasure from the work with the 10? For example, during the study of Tess. When we study, we see before us a certain goal. We wish to advance towards this goal. Approach it, that's it. And here he says seemingly the opposite. He describes seemingly the opposite state, and you can't talk about it. In order to attain high states, we don't necessarily have to go through sufferings and limitations. It's not necessary to go through these states of torments, suffering. We simply have to understand the stages we have to go through in our will to receive and try to get through them as quickly as possible. The main thing is to get through that period of time that's ahead of us, that space where we can't exactly orient ourselves and find our bearings. Come out of it as quickly as possible. Just do it correctly. So in order to come out of it correctly, we need to accelerate the work through connection. Everything takes place through connection. Okay, actually what I understood here is that the key is faith to be rewarded with faith. If a person is not rewarded with faith, whatever he does will not benefit him. So this being rewarded, can a person affect being rewarded? What should he do in order to be rewarded with faith? He needs to arrive at the correct intention, and through the correct intention he studies. He relates to the study material, and in this way he studies. A person who has a point in the heart, he comes to the study and he feels faith to a certain extent, or maybe this is not the same faith that the text talks about here. It speaks of faith whereby a person has the power to perform acts of bestow even when it has no foundation whatsoever, and in this way he advances more and more. Only the force of bestow is missing for him in order to relate correctly to the Creator. What is the role of the 10 in that? Does the 10 have a role? Certainly. How do we develop faith in the 10? Simple. It's the goal and it's before each and every 10. So this is what we should put the emphasis on now. Not only now, but certainly also right now. Thank you. The Rome 1. Shalom. Hello everyone, and thank you Rav. Indeed there are many questions on the topic of faith to those who haven't acquired it yet. How do we approach it? What do we do? Practically. Let's say I received a strong blow to my finger and it pains me. So, as we learned, there's this article about the envelopes. I received only $1. Let's say that's the blow that I feel bad because of it. But I believe it comes from the Creator, and he actually gave me $1,000. Is it worthwhile to work in such a way? Because here I actually have a practical approach with which to build faith. What do you think about it? Try her and then tell us about it. In fact, I did try Rav, and it helps a lot. Very well. Keep going. Thanks Women Moscow 8. The possibilities that a person has before him to turn to the force of the Torah opposite his flaws. How do we do it correctly? How do we relate to the operations of the light? Again, is it possible for a person to feel and direct the force of the Torah to a place where he feels flaws? Or is it more correct to simply devote yourself and believe that the light will work on him? There are two drastically different directions, and we will learn about them. Gives in this item this allegory about the rooster and the bat. How not to be a bat. How not to be a bat. A bat is a very high degree. How not to be a rooster. If you would have asked that, that's something different. Okay, how not to be a rooster is through exercises that a person applies on himself in order to yearn. I'm going to help me out here. What makes the bed such a high degree, even higher than a rooster may be? What's the difference between the bat and a rooster? We can read item 13 again. He relates to it again. Our sage has given us allegory about it below. Regarding the verse, woe unto you who desire the day of the Lord. Why do you need the day of the Lord? It is darkness and not light. There is an allegory about a rooster and a bed that we're waiting the light. The rooster said to the bed, I wait the light, for the light is mine. But you, why do you need the light? Clearly, those students who were not rewarded with coming from Lishma to Ishma due to their lack of faith, and therefore did not receive any light from the Torah, will therefore walk in darkness, and shall die without wisdom. Those who were imparted complete faith are guaranteed in the words of our sages, that because they engage in the Torah, even Lishma delight in it reforms them, they will be imparted the Torah Lishma, which brings a happy and good life in this world and in the next world even, without the prior affliction and sorrowful life. It is about them that the verse says, Then shall ye delight in the Lord, and I will make you ride upon the high places of the earth. We have reached the end of our lesson. We will continue the lesson tomorrow. Now, dear friends, we will move together to summarize the lesson, and then we will read in the Zohar. So, please, we learned that everything depends on faith, the degree of faith a person feels when he enters the study and he wants to be successful. Then in this way he reveals faith. Faith comes to a person from the Creator. The faith that person asks that through the study he has connection with the Creator. He believes that through the study he has connection with the Creator. Yes. What brings us from Lishma to Lishma is the matter of faith. I need to scrutinize it, that the faith that comes through the study is the connection with the Creator. This is how we advance. Another thing is that the most important for us is to always scrutinize before the study. Why do we need to study? Great impression from the lesson of simply sit. Sitting next him, being together with him, it's so powerful to understand what is who is our teacher. We went through 2 lessons. The first was about faith, about reason. We can see how much faith is a very strong motive, truly something. It is a creation in itself. A place where a person needs to adhere to out of this world. And also, in the introduction to test we can see how much this force of faith is like a ray path that leads a person to the good place. However, a person must kind of let go of his hands and follow it as much as he's capable of, and as much as he is capable of it. By that, he does his work, and whatever he cannot do there, he can actually turn to the Creator. What's the connection between the first lesson and the second lesson? We need to constantly yearn for the Creator. And the success is not in how much do I attain, but how much do I settle for little, and I agree with whatever I receive from the Creator. The person should always be happy with his share, justify and agree with the Creator every moment. And you need to have a burning desire to settle for little. About this line of being satisfied with little, there are questions coming up. What is this little? However, make peace with this picture with what you receive from the Creator, and to flow with it. Simply flow with what is. This is wholeness. I also liked what I said that in the second part. What I cannot reconcile, that's a place for prayer that we always talk about. Indeed, there was a strong emphasis on the matter of faith, that we need to achieve it through the study. In order to be rewarded with faith, you have to come to the study with the right intention. A person should reach a state where he feels that the only thing he lacks is the force of bestow in order to get close to the Creator. That's the only thing that he lacks in his existence. Yes, and in the first part we learned that the upper light has no changes all. The changes are only in us, and the environment influences us. So we need to build the environment and develop in the environment. Exactly. So our individual state is determined by the environment, in which direction, in what pace. So it's worthwhile to invest in your environment. One more thing is to submit myself before the friends is like submitting myself before the Creator. And everything you feel in life, you need to feel it as a perfect state, because this is what the Creator sends you. Or I've said here that we need to come to the lesson with the right intention. And then the studies about the Creator talking there in the study. And in the next part of the lesson, we will study from the book of Zohar. We are reading from the book of Zohar, volume 2, part 1, article The Brightness of the Firmament. Start from item 11. For all. 1. The brightness of the firmament. Item 11. When it takes all the letters, as she is the inclusion of all the letters, and is called when she takes all the letters. Because the letters are vessels, and the vessels are included only in the she's the inclusion from the beginning. Al-2, and this is why the Nukvar is called Al-If and T. Afterwards the letter Hey joins the At to connect the 22 letters with the Hey, since once they have already mingled with all the letters of Z, from joins her, and then she's fit for a coupling within. That time she's called Year. As it is written, you revived them all, for by her coupling with the she can revive all her hosts in the 3 worlds, and bestow upon them all that they need. It is, the heaven is, who is the upper one of the name Adnai, sense, heaven, and it's called voice, and it is called speech, and she is Adi. 12. And the earth indicates the correction of male and female in regard to, and the Lord. It is all one, because as the heaven in the words the heaven include male and female. Earth consists of male and female. This is implied in the word, and the where is of the male in the nuker. The difference between the heaven, the upper Z pin, voice, and the lower zin, included in the letter Vav in the word, and the is why he brings the matter of, and the Lord, that the Vav is to include his courthouse, the who is included with him. Together, it is so, because wherever it is said, and the Lord, it means he and his courthouse. Likewise, that is included in the here in the letter V in the word, and the is included in his courthouse. The is so, because on divide into 2 as it is written, and I'm a smooth man. From the above they are called Israel and Lee, and from the below they are called Jacob, and hence the heaven are the upper male and female, called Israel, and from Zon, and above, and the earth are the bottom male and Nukever, who are called Jacob and Rachel. Below, the nuker in the words the heaven is called Hadi, which is the name of the small Rachel, since the small ver Rachel, since it is about Mo of Zone. This is how, because only during the Gadlut are Zone called voice and speech for then the zone are face to face on the same level for the small nukva, ascend to the nukva of the great nukva, and close her. This is why at that time, Nukvar is named after the small Nukvar Adi. For then, the small Nukvar has grown to the level of the great Nukvar, and at that time her name is the unification of the name Adi, voice and speech is one. Elohim, the earth is the name Elohim, like the upper one, who is fit to produce fruit and offspring. The Nukvar is called earth only when a man lends her clothes to her daughter and was established, like the upper one, with Mo of Elohim, which is in a lower unification. At that time, what was dry became a land that bears fruit and offspring. That name is included in 3 places, and from there the wholeness of the name Elohim is clarified by connecting in 3 places. 1 mesh, concerning which came out of, since her place was out of, and emerged to the place of his goof, to the letters, which are her, which fell to zone and acquired a new place once more, then returned to their place in glut. After the return of the letters, with zone to her degree, she receives the level of, which comes out on the screen of Zed, attached to her. At that time, the light of dresses in Adam connects to the letters, and the name Elohim is completed. That is the name Elohim appears only by collecting 3 places, since from there the name Elohim has many combinations. As there are 120 combinations of Elohim, according to the change of the governance of 3 places. Thus far is the meaning of concealment. Concealment that of the concealment in concealments that carved, built and sustained in a hidden way in 1 verse carved, built and sustained. At 3 places carved is the dot of that took out the bina from 2, by which her letters fell to zone. It is considered that a carving and deficiency were made in her because she lost the letters layers. To the return of the letters to her, and its returned to of the place of, this is considered a complete structure of her tense field in terms of the vessels. For now, Shub obtained the letters, and her tense field were completed in terms of the vessels. Also, she rose to the place of, although she still has no existence, there to receive the from, due to lack of. Thus she needs sustenance. This is the meaning of sustained, since in the coupling on the screen of, when she obtained the clothing of, the light of clothed inside, and her, existed in the 4 colours, of that is in a hidden manner in the 3 sewings, implied in the verse, and the educated will shine as the brightness of the firmament, 13, as the letters, from the end of the heaven to the end of the heaven, there is back that expand, from the upper one, since the letters, to indicate that is the root of back and is called heaven, from the end of the heaven to the end of the heaven, includes all the spirin, all of his back, all of which he took from the upper V that extend from the upper, in the expansion of created, through that which, that emerged from the of which is the expansion of created, which is a hidden brightness that includes. So obtained the upper vac from, in voice and speech, out of the first dot which is. He created an expansion of 1 dot above, because took Biner out. He created an expansion of 1 dot above, by taking it out. The dot entered the light of Biner, and became a there. This is created by that. This is created by this an expansion of the dot from the air and her return to the light were created. All the Moav are from here. Thus out of the first dot which is. He created an expansion of the dot from air, from which comes the applied in it. And regarding what was said, 1 dot above, the book of Zohar implies 2 dots that exist in the screen of upper, above, which are called lock and key. The expansion of the Y from the air is only on 1 of those dots, the key. The dot of the lock remains in upper, above, and does not come out of the air of the upper above. Here the name of 42 letters was inscribed. The carving of the name 42 is 3 hands of Ima that were renewed by taking Biner outside, which are the letters of Ima, regarded as of, which are called hands. It is so because with these hands she raises the zone to her by exiting the her fell to zone. Hence, while raising the letters back to her, the zone are also drawn with them to the are like hands that raise the zone from their lowly place to their own place, to her own place, and 3 asterisk 14 yad is 42 in Gemarter. This is the meaning of the name 42 being called the elevating name. The name itself is from the of and above, where there are 3 parts of him, and those are 1 simple, 4 letters, which is 2, filled with the letters of, which is 3, filled with the filling of 28 letters, which is 4, and 28 letters of the 42 letters together, and since ascends to, he obtains therefrom and above, which are 3 parts of, which are 42 letters. That we end. Thank you, and have a good day.